The story begins with Takamine, the most popular girl in school. She shines in everything: studies, sports, leadership. No one can match her, and she easily holds the top position in the school rankings. She is also the student council president. On the other hand, there is Kushi Shirota, a regular boy who's the complete opposite of her. He stays in the background, not popular, not outstanding, and only a few friends notice him. Even though they have been classmates for years, he has never spoken to Takamine, not even once. But all of that changes one strange day. A flashback shows Shirota hiding in the school's storeroom. He is stressing over the math test. He knows he is not ready for the result and feels anxious. Suddenly, Takamine enters the same room. Without knowing anyone is inside, she begins to change her clothes. Shirota stays hidden, shocked and nervous. He covers eyes but still ends up peeking 2 ultra-delicious juicy mangoes. That quick mistake fills him with regret. After that, his mind cannot stop replaying what happened. Later in class, his thoughts are still stuck on that moment. Then the teacher arrives with the test results. Shirota gets 52 marks, which makes him really happy since it is more than he expected. When it's Takamine's turn, the teacher says she got 98 marks instead of her usual perfect score. The class reacts strongly, acting like it is a big deal. Some students even panic over the 2 missing marks. Takamine stays calm and says sorry to the teacher. Then she does something unusual. Right there in class, she slips her hand under her skirt and removes her panties. Shirota watches her closely, confused. Suddenly their eyes meet. A butterfly flies across the room and a strange clock sound is heard. The next moment, things reset. It goes back to when Shirota is about to receive his test result. Everything seems normal again. He checks his mark, still 52, but something feels different. The teacher now says Takamine scored a perfect 100. Shirota begins to wonder if everything he saw was just his imagination. Still, he feels the day has turned out well. After all, he saw something unexpected and also did better in the test than he thought. Later, feeling curious and a little daring, he walks up to the student council office to find out the truth. He asks Takamine to be honest with him and if she really scored 98 in the math test. Takamine suddenly freezes. Her expression changes like she just got caught. She asks Shirota how he knew it and if he told anyone about it. She then steps closer, clearly pissed. Shirota feels so scared he nearly faints. Then, a slight smirk appears on her face. She tells Shirota that the real reason she is mad is because he saw her in the storeroom when she was changing. Shirota turns pale, unable to say anything. Then suddenly, she laughs and says she is only joking. She notices how nervous he looks and tells him to relax. She invites him to sit and talk. When Shirota reaches for the glass on the table, his hand starts to shake badly. Water spills from the glass. For a moment, it looks like the water might fall on her, but it doesn't. She easily moves out of the way. She starts teasing him, saying that maybe he tried to spill water on purpose just to make her change clothes again. Then, just to mess with him more, she begins to remove her clothes even though she is not wet. This sudden act shocks Shirota. His panic returns. His heart races. At that moment, something strange happens again. The butterfly appears. The clock starts ticking. Time jumps back again. Now the scene returns to the exact moment before the water spills. This time, the water actually lands on Takamine. She looks at him, clearly irritated. She says that now she has to change clothes. Instead of asking him to leave like a normal person would, she tells him to turn around and not look. Then, calmly, she takes off her wet clothes and hands them to him. She tells him to dry them. Shirota, confused and overwhelmed, begins to dab the clothes with a towel. He is doing it slowly, unsure of what to do. Everything feels too strange to understand. Nothing makes sense anymore. Suddenly, without any warning, Takamine kicks him hard. The hit lands right where it hurts the most. She shouts at him, saying not to touch her like that. Shirota is speechless. Just a moment ago, she gave him the clothes to clean. Now she blames him for touching her. He was only trying to help. The poor guy can't catch a break. Takamine finally opens up about her secret. Her power activates whenever she makes a mistake. She first discovered it back in 5th grade, though she still doesn't fully understand how it works. What's clear is that it lets her turn back time. The twist is that everyone forgets the reset timeline. To use her power, she has to remove her inner wares. Now that Shirota knows about her ability and can help, she declares that he will be her slave. Shirota politely refuses and tries to leave. Takamine grabs him. He stumbles and lands right on top of her. She grins and offers him freedom to do whatever he wants if he accepts the role. Before he can respond, she suddenly screams. A crowd of classmates rushes in. The boys pin Shirota down. The girls shout for help and call the police. Takamine lies to everyone, saying he harassed her. Shirota realizes too late that it was all a trap. She planned everything to force him into submission. The police are about to take Shirota away. Shirota panics, thinking his life is ruined. Then Takamine offers him a chance to fix everything if he obeys her. Shirota has no choice. He agrees. The butterfly flutters once again. The clock ticks. Time rewinds to the moment inside the student council room. This time, Shirota doesn't resist. He agrees to become her slave but regrets it right away. He wishes he had just gone home. If he had never entered the student council office, none of this would have happened. They start arguing. Takamine warns him not to argue back or he will regret it. Shirota quickly apologizes. She gives him his first task, to put a collar around her neck. His hands shake. He tries to refuse, but Takamine stays calm and firm. She takes his hand, looks into his eyes, and reminds him of his new role. For a moment, her eyes soften, and the atmosphere feels almost romantic. Then the door crashes open again. The police burst in and arrest Shirota all over again. Takamine switches back to her innocent act, fooling everyone once more. Suddenly, it all fades. It was just a dream. Shirota wakes up in his bed, confused and flustered. His phone buzzes. A message from Takamine appears, reminding him not to be late. She has attached her picture along with the message, making his face red again. On the way to school, Shirota seems nervous. Behind him, Takamine appears cheerful as ever. Other students admire her as she walks. But when she stops beside Shirota, everyone starts whispering. Nobody understands why the most admired girl is speaking to him. Shirota feels the same confusion. She leans close and tells him to meet her later. Shirota arrives at the council room, nervous again. He asks what she wants. Takamine just smiles and says they are partners now, so they should get to know each other. Shirota snaps, reminding her she forced him into this. She ignores the comment and hands him a bag. Inside, he finds several pairs of her underwear. She tells him that from now on he is her mobile closet. Every time she uses her power, he must carry a fresh pair of bra and panty and bring it to her without delay. Shirota is horrified by what he just heard. He has to carry her underwear all day. Then it gets worse. Takamine says he must also help her wear them after she uses her power. He stands there frozen, unsure if this is really a superpower or just pure madness. Takamine tries to calm him down. She says it only happens once or twice a day unless there's an emergency. Then she leans in and reminds him of the consequences. Shirota starts shaking. His mind flashes back to the last time, especially when the police dragged him away. Nervously, he agrees to do whatever she says. Suddenly, Takamine pushes him to the floor and sits on top of him. Shirota panics and shuts his eyes, begging her not to call the police again. She smiles gently and says she won't. He stays speechless. Takamine tells him that she will make sure he is never disappointed. Just as he is about to leave, she reminds him to return the bag after school and not take it home. Shirota quickly agrees. In the classroom, the teacher is reading a poem and asks someone to explain it. Shirota assumes Takamine will answer, and she does. Her explanation is flawless. Everyone is impressed by her calm voice and deep understanding. Shirota watches her, thinking how perfect she is. Smart, graceful, beautiful. She doesn't even need her powers. Then a breeze comes through the window. Takamine says she needs to use her ability. Shirota panics inside. She had already done a great job, but she thinks it could be better. She calmly begins to remove her skirt. Time suddenly glitches. Everything resets to the moment when the teacher asks who wants to explain the poem. This time, Takamine recites it again to coincide with a dramatic gust of wind through the window. This carries so strong emotions that the entire class goes quiet. Everyone feels the meaning in her explanation. Shirota doesn't even notice when the poem ends. The class suddenly burst into applause. He sits frozen, amazed at how perfect she is. Takamine gives him a soft smile. Their eyes meet for a moment before she tosses a folded note toward him. It's a signal. Time to get to work. Shirota panics as he must get new panties onto Takamine. They're still in class. How is he supposed to help her change without anyone noticing? She throws an eraser on the floor, providing an excuse for him to kneel in front of her without anyone noticing. He spots it nearby. Moving to pick it up, he uses the moment to slip her panties from his pocket. Slowly, with shaky hands, he helps her dress right there without anyone noticing. Then he quickly returns to his seat, heart racing. The teacher begins calling out names to give back test papers. Shirota tenses up. Something is wrong. He looks toward Takamine and realizes it. He didn't pull her panties properly. If she stands, those panties might fall out of place. She looks uneasy, not her usual confident self. There's even a bit of fear in her eyes. Shirota remembers what she once said, that she gets embarrassed if anyone sees her after using her power, except when he's around. The moment her name is called, Shirota jumps up and walks to the teacher's desk. The teacher looks confused, but he quickly apologizes and says he got mixed up. Then walks back and hands Takamine her paper, and pushes the panties up with his knee, catching her off guard. She gives him a quiet thank you and a small smile. He quietly asks if something hurt or felt wrong. She doesn't reply. She just turns her face away, silent. Later in the council room, Shirota feels frustrated. He tells her to stop making him do things like that. Takamine just laughs and says it was a test to see how he reacts under pressure. Then, out of nowhere, she apologizes. She asks why he helped her back then and dressed her properly. Maybe it was fear of getting in trouble again. Shirota quietly admits he just didn't want more problems. Takamine laughs again but says she doesn't really believe him. Still, she thanks him. For a brief moment, she looks truly sweet. Later, when the class starts, the teacher asks Takamine to collect the students' assignments and submit them to the office. She begins picking up papers. A few boys step in and offer to help her. Shirota watches, thinking how she always grabs attention. But then Takamine suddenly turns to him and reminds him his role. In front of everyone, she pulls out her underwear again and rewinds time. The moment resets. The same boys try to help her again. This time Shirota wonders why she used her power for something so small. Then it hits him she wants him by her side every moment. Realizing that, he quickly steps forward and offers to help instead. Takamine, acting like she's in control, tells him she had to sacrifice one of her underwear just to teach him this. He has no idea how to respond. He simply apologizes and takes the papers. In the end, he knows his new role. He's just a mobile closet for her, there to help with her outfit changes again and again, even if she ruins time just to prove a point. More students arrive, eager to help Takamine. Watching them, Shirata quietly thinks about how everyone respects and praises her. He even wonders if life would be easier if he were born in her place. Takamine thanks the students and begins talking about each of their talents and achievements. Shirota is surprised. She actually remembers all that about them. Once they drop off the papers, she turns to him and says he should understand everything now and avoid making more mistakes. Shirota wishes she could stay that calm and kind when it's just the two of them. They walk away and Shirota mentions that her interactions with others felt a little intense. She fires back, asking if he thinks she's a celebrity. He quickly denies it and says he's just impressed by how easily she connects with everyone. Takamine proudly calls it proof that she's a great student council president. Shirota admits he was amazed that she knew everyone's name and background. She says she memorized it all on her first day in office. With her beauty and reputation, everyone already knows her, so it only makes sense that she knows them too. Shirata stays silent, realizing how much effort she puts into being who she is. Takamine then surprises him again. She has detailed profiles on every student, including him. She begins listing his information, even mentioning where he was born and what kind of personality he has. She calls him timid and weak, going on and on without mercy. Shirota finally asks her to stop. He can't believe she knows so much, especially about him. Takamine seems offended. She asks if he's trying to say she only knows about him. She sounds sharper now. Shirota starts apologizing, but she doesn't let up. Then she reminds him of the storeroom moment, calling him a pervert for peeking at her by accident. Shirota tries to explain himself, but his words upset Takamine. She kicks him so hard that he falls over. She leans close and teasingly asks what he would do if she didn't care. Then, right there on the stairs in broad daylight, she begins to act seductively. Shirota doesn't give in. He calmly tells her nothing can happen unless they're actually dating. Takamine looks surprised, but she also seems happy. She smiles and says he has got some pretty dreams. They start walking together, but just a moment later, Shirata slips from the platform and falls unconscious. He wakes up in the nurse's room, resting on Takamine's lap, confused. Takamine explains that his fall looked serious, so she rewound time. But even then, he didn't wake up, so she brought him to the nurse's room herself. She gently tells him to rest and calls him a fake gentleman in his updated student profile. Shirata stays speechless. He then remembers they have PE class next, a 30-minute run he knows he won't survive. Takamine points out that he lacks ambition. Soon after, she's announced as the PE class leader, which excites the whole group. The race begins, and as expected, Shirota falls behind, struggling at the back. Takamine notices. She walks over, stops him, and corrects his posture. She even gives him tips, standing very close. Then she tells him to complete the run within the time, but it doesn't help. He still finishes last. Some classmates make fun of him. Despite getting trained by Takamine, he still fails. But Takamine won't accept that. She ruins time again. This time, she threatens him to finish on time, leaving Shirata totally shaken. He starts running again, full of fear, thinking about how to properly apologize to her. Then he sees something shocking. Takamine is riding a bicycle straight toward him, right in the middle of the track, wearing nothing under her skirt. Shirota panics. If anyone sees her like this, things could go very wrong. He runs fast and covers her with his own body before anyone notices. Later, it's revealed that Shirota not only finished within time but also won first place. He then helps Takamine get dressed again. Takamine asks how it feels to win. Shirota says he doesn't know because he never cared about rankings before. His honest answer makes her smile in a way that feels real. Later at home, Shirota notices he accidentally brought back her underwear bag. He decides to return it tomorrow, though his thoughts start to drift in strange directions. Just then, his phone rings. Takamine calls to say she's about to go for a run but doesn't have any sportswear. The message clearly hints that she wants him to bring the bag now. Shirota wonders if this is another of her games, but since he's home, he thinks nothing serious will happen. Then a photo arrives. Takamine is already outside, without wearing anything appropriate. Shirota panics. Another message follows. She's warming up in public, dressed like that. He thinks about saving the photo for a moment, but quickly stops himself. He imagines all sorts of things that could happen if she's out there in public like that. At the same time, Takamine sits on a bench, about to message him again. But then Shirota arrives, holding the bag like a hero. Seeing it, she lights up with joy but hides it behind her usual confident mask. She says this was just a test and even guesses exactly what he had been imagining. Shirota quickly explains that he was only concerned for her safety. Her expression softens. She blushes slightly and quietly thanks him. She reminds him he's the only person in the world who knows her secret. Only then does it hit Shirata how close they've become. He hands her the bag. Takamine teases him, asking if it's still warm, hinting that he might have done something weird with it. Shirata turns red and explains he just ran all the way there holding it tightly. Takamine takes part in a swimming competition. Her movements are smooth and confident, and she wins without much effort. The crowd cheers, full of admiration. Shirota watches from the side, already convinced she's perfect. But Takamine doesn't look satisfied. Without wasting a moment, she uses her ability and resets time to just before the race. This time, she chooses to swim backward. Shirata can't believe what he's seeing. Her skill, her grace, and her seductive body structure leave him speechless. Once again, she finishes first. Once again, the applause surrounds her. After the race, she walks up to Shirota and asks why he didn't ask her why she rewound time. Shirota admits he forgot. Takamine says she already knew she would win but wanted to test if she could still win doing something harder. Shirota wasn't even thinking about the race anymore. His focus had been completely on her body. Realizing this, he blushes deeply. Takamine notices his expression and grins. She says a person's eyes always show their true thoughts. Then she playfully teases him for being hopeless. Shirota becomes flustered and tries to change the subject. Takamine just laughs and tells him it's okay to keep admiring her upper body if that's what he wants. Shirota quickly looks away, red-faced. Then she casually tells him to meet her after class. After school, Takamine takes Shirota out shopping. One glance at the store and it's clear what kind of shopping this is. Shirota feels awkward and asks why she brought him to a place like this. Takamine casually says she just felt like it. Then she holds up a piece of clothing and asks what he thinks. Shirota, flustered, looks away. Takamine teases him, saying he probably enjoys this kind of thing. Shirota denies it and says he only came because she told him to. She then tells him to find her a matching pair, meaning panties. Shirota blushes even more. He tries to back out, but she reminds him of his duty to follow her orders. With no choice, Shirota picks something at random. She laughs and accuses him of choosing it on purpose, imagining her in it. He gets even more embarrassed and puts it back. This time, he seriously starts searching. Each time he picks something, he accidentally imagines her wearing it, which only makes him more nervous. Finally, he hands her a blue one. Takamine smiles and asks if blue is his favorite. Shirota quickly says no, it just looked better than the others. She says she'll try it on and see. Then, without warning, she pulls him toward the changing room. Shirota panics. Takamine begins changing right in front of him, acting completely normal. The pressure becomes too much. Shirota faints. Later, they walk outside under the evening sky. Takamine laughs and calls him a coward. Shirota quietly apologizes. Then she smirks and asks again why he likes blue so much. Shirota questions back if there was a deeper reason behind her picking him. Takamine suddenly pushes him against the wall and demands to know why he picked blue. Shirota, flustered, finally admits that he compares her to the sky. And since the sky is blue, he thought it was the perfect color for someone like her. Even he can't believe what he just said. Takamine turns and walks away without a word. Shirota thinks he messed up. But on the other side, Takamine is blushing deeply, holding back a smile, feeling genuinely happy about everything he said. The next day, Shirota catches a cold. After school, he feels weak and tries to hurry home. His body gives in, and he nearly collapses, but Takamine catches him just in time. He tells her he's fine, but she doesn't believe it. Later, she shows up at his house and makes a comment about how small it is. Then, without asking, she starts checking his computer, clearly expecting to something strange. Shirota, feeling uneasy, asks why she always doubts him. She jokes about hidden files. He quickly shuts the laptop and asks if she came only to spy on him. Takamine calmly says she needs to know everything about him because it might affect her too. Then her tone softens. She tells him not to worry, today she's his nurse. Shirota tries to tell her it's not necessary, but she insists on helping. She says his diet matters and heads off to cook. She jumps time forward using her ability. She brings him a meal and a warm towel, telling him to let her know if it gets cold. Shirota watches her, surprised by how caring she suddenly seems. He tastes the food and finds it delicious. Lying down to rest, his mind fills with thoughts about all the strange and sweet moments they've shared. Takamine returns to check on him. He says he ate everything. She smiles and asks about the food. Shirota tells her it was great. Without warning, she climbs into bed next to him. Shocked, he asks what she's doing. Takamine calmly says her body warmth will help him recover faster. Then she uses her ability again and starts talking about her perfume. She says she doesn't like the smell of sweat, which is why she always wears scents. She even wonders if her perfume made him feel worse. Shirota assures her it didn't. Takamine teasingly asks if he prefers the smell of sweat, which makes him groan and beg for rest. She smiles and tells him not to worry. She says he can think of her as warm water, just lying nearby to help him heal. Shirota can't believe it. A beautiful girl is beside him, and she expects him to treat her like she's just a comfort object. Even with this perfect chance, he doesn't take advantage. And even Takamine finds his respectful behavior rare. Feeling a little guilty, she quietly apologizes. She admits she has crossed many lines while teasing him. Then she gently tucks him in, brings herself closer, and holds him softly. She promises to stay until he fully recovers. Shirota begins to wonder if she truly cares. Takamine asks if he can sleep well now. He says he can. Curious, he asks why she's helping him so much. Takamine has no answer. She simply looks at him in silence as he slowly drifts off to sleep. Takamine recalls her lonely childhood until she meets Shirota, who helped her rescue an orphan kitten, which she still owns. It also frustrates her that he has not yet realized he is special to her. Later that night, Shirota wakes up and checks his fever. It still hasn't fully gone down. He looks around the room and notices that Takamine left more food for him before leaving. He quietly sits and eats the meal she prepared. Thoughts of her begin to fill his mind. The warmth of her care makes him blush without even realizing it. Shirota forgets about an assignment, thinking it was due after summer break. But he finds out it's actually due before. Takamine offers to help him finish it, but only if he acts like a dog in front of her. Shirota refuses immediately. She warns him his grades could drop if he doesn't submit it. Shirota stays firm and says he'll finish it on his own, but Takamine keeps teasing him, reminding him of his servant status. Eventually, Shirota gives in. Later in class, Shirota works on the assignment. While writing, his thoughts wander to how often Takamine uses her ability, sometimes 10 times a day. The teacher then calls Takamine to the board. She solves the question perfectly. Shirota watches, impressed. Then the teacher accidentally bumps into her. Shirota expects a time rewind, but she doesn't use her power. She stays calm and finishes the problem. The class claps for her. Later, a girl thanks Takamine for relationship advice. She had gifted her boyfriend a smartwatch, but a newer model came out. Shirota thinks Takamine will rewind time, but she doesn't. She simply suggests exchanging if the box is still sealed. The girl smiles and leaves. Shirota is surprised. Takamine had chances to use her ability but held back. He also notices how tired she looks because of it. After school, Shirota sees her on the way home. She looks exhausted but still scolds him for being slow with the assignment. He apologizes and says he knows she's holding back for his sake. He tells her not to, but she says she's just having a good day. Then she teases him. If he really believes she's doing it for him, he should try using her ability himself. She dares him to take off her ribbon. Shirota hesitates. He begins to think maybe she truly is a kind person deep down. She warns him again if he uses the ability, the assignment resets. Shirota doesn't mind. He says he'll just do it again. Hearing that, Takamine blushes. Shirota tries to use her ability, but nothing happens. She reveals she already canceled it. She says it would have felt like she was taking orders from him, and she is his servant. While in reality, he is her servant and not the other way around. Shirota smiles. He finally understands that Takamine, in her own strange way, really does care. Before leaving, she reminds him about extra homework during summer break. Shirota nods, and she tells him she'll tutor him during the break to help him score better. Summer vacation begins, and Shirota visits Takamine's house to study. But learning isn't going well. No matter how clearly she explains, Shirota keeps repeating the same mistakes. Seeing this, Takamine uses her ability to rewind time again and again to help him understand better. She even makes coffee for him, stepping out of the room for a bit. Shirota notices the house is quiet. Her parents aren't home. By evening, he starts feeling better about the study session. That's when Takamine teasingly says she knows he really just wanted to spend the night at a girl's house. But then quickly adds that they're not exactly alone. Her cat Kuro is there too. She goes to look for Kuro, but the cat is nowhere to be found. With Kuro missing, Takamine starts acting like a cat herself, playful, flirty, and full of energy. A storm rolls in, and she insists Shirota should stay the night. Later, when Kuro finally returns, Takamine feels let down. Shirota doesn't seem to recognize the connection she hoped he would. Feeling annoyed, she uses all the soap so he can't shower, then shows up wearing just a towel to mess with him. That's when Shirota remembers something years ago. He rescued a cat with a girl who gave him a love confession. He never replied, and he's always wanted to say sorry, but he never knew her name. Takamine feels a flicker of hope, until Shirota asks if she might know who the girl was. Suddenly, lightning flashes, the power goes. Takamine gets scared, and just then, her towel slips, and she jumps on Shirota without thinking, completely exposed. Deep down, though, she's secretly glad. It gives her a reason to hold him close. Once the power returns, Takamine heads to the kitchen to make dinner. Shirota thanks her, and that's when she brings up a sudden idea. Since they're alone in the house, she suggests playing a game where they pretend to be a new-lied couple. Shirota thinks it's harmless fun and agrees. But there's a twist. If either of them breaks character, the punishment is a life without marriage. But Shirota thinks it's too extreme. Takamine casually tells him he wasn't going to get married anyway. The words sting a little. Later, Shirota enters the kitchen and gets another shock. Takamine is barely dressed. She reminds him that as her husband, it's his fault. She warns him not to make another mistake. Shirota feels overwhelmed. He starts questioning if this is real. He's pretending to be married to the most beautiful girl in school. When she calls him honey, his face turns red. Then she asks him to help her dress properly, saying it's his job as the husband. They begin cooking dinner together, but Shirota gets too distracted by her and ends up burning the food. Takamine rewinds time. This time, they cook more carefully, and the meal turns out perfect. Shirota is surprised again when Takamine starts feeding him with her hands. She says it's normal now that they're a couple. At one point, food drops on her foot. Shirota apologizes quickly, but Takamine teases him again. She tells him to lick it off, saying nothing should go to waste and that her husband should be willing to do at least this much. Shirota stands frozen. Takamine then rewinds time once more and admits she was just playing around. Shirota feels a bit of relief, but she continues to mess with him in her usual mischievous way. After dinner, it's time for a bath. Shirota politely offers to let Takamine go first, but she refuses. Since they're pretending to be newlyweds, she says they should bath together. Shirota panics, but she gives him no choice. In the bathroom, Shirota sits nervously in the tub. Takamine walks in casually and grabs the soap. He freezes, unsure how to react. His mind spins with worry, thinking the situation is getting out of hand. She offers to wash his back. His heart races, thinking she might use her body. But it's just soap. Nothing wild happens, but he still struggles to stay calm. To distract himself, he starts counting numbers in his head. Suddenly, he feels something touch him. He turns around, terrified, only to realize it's just a balloon. Takamine laughs, teasing him for getting scared so easily. Then she offers to wash his hair too. Shirota hesitates, but she insists, saying he deserves the full treatment. He keeps repeating calming thoughts to himself. She mentions the soap was brought by her father. Shirota smells it and realizes it's the same scent that always lingers around her. That makes things worse for him. His concentration breaks, and his hand accidentally lands somewhere it shouldn't. The moment turns awkward fast. Takamine laughs and teases him, saying he's getting way too into the role of husband. Shirota, embarrassed, sinks into the tub to hide his face. At first, Takamine doesn't understand, but then she realizes what happened. Without saying much, she walks away, giving him space. Later that night, Shirota lies in bed, still thinking about everything. Then Takamine enters the room. She moves close and asks what she really means to him. Before he can answer, she cuts in with her own response. She reminds him he is her servant and she is his mistress. He must do what she says. Shirota stays silent, but deep down, he knows she's right. This strange, complicated bond between them is now their reality. Later, the two plan to watch the Firebug Festival. Takamine waits for Shirota, and when he arrives, he apologizes for being late. She complains, saying she waited a whole 5 minutes. But when he looks at her, he can't help but compliment her on how beautiful she looks in her yukata. Takamine smiles and casually drops a shocking detail. She isn't wearing anything underneath. Shirota panics. He is worried they're in public and she's saying things like that. Takamine insists he help her fix it. Then she pretends her sandal broke just to make him assist her. Shirota understands it's all just an excuse. Still, he helps her, and she thanks him with a smile. Since there's still time before the fireworks, they stroll around. People around them start whispering about how lucky Shirota is. Everyone assumes they're a perfect couple. Only Shirota knows the truth. But then a thought crosses his mind. Could he actually date someone like Takamine someday? The idea sends his thoughts in all directions. Some are innocent, some not. Takamine calls his name, snapping him out of it. He quickly apologizes, saying he wasn't thinking anything weird. The fireworks begin. Takamine says she doesn't mind what he was thinking. She uses her ability to watch the show from multiple angles. She wants to enjoy every part of it. They eventually return to where they started. Shirota doesn't get why, but Takamine says they still have many more places to see. Later, they reach a bridge filled with couples. One couple is doing something bold, sharing a drink mouth to mouth. Shirota is stunned. Takamine then asks if he has a soft drink. That question completely throws him off. He wonders if they're about to act like a real couple. Still, he hands her the bottle. Shirota starts imagining again. In his mind, he kisses Takamine, and she even tells him she liked it. But then she calls out his name, pulling him out of the fantasy. He panics and apologizes again. Takamine then asks for help with her sash. Shirota hesitates, noticing all the people around, but helps her anyway. Once more, she uses her ability, and Shirota realizes he really has seen the fireworks from many angles now. They reach a quiet spot. Shirota notices how peaceful it feels, almost like no one else is around. Takamine's behavior seems different. She keeps picking quiet places, which makes him start overthinking. He wonders if she's about to confess. Part of him says it's impossible. Another part hopes it's true. He's nervous but secretly happy. Finally, the fireworks light up the sky again. Takamine says the timing is perfect. Shirota agrees and says it looks pretty. Takamine smiles warmly and looks at him in a way that feels special. Shirota admits to himself that the word pretty wasn't for the fireworks. Then Takamine says it's time to head home. Shirota agrees but softly says that the word he said was actually meant for her. Takamine and Shirota chat over a call. She shares her summer plan, to visit a college and get a feel for it. Shirota mentions the place is prestigious and filled with smart students. Takamine proudly says she plans to join that college in the future. Then she adds something unexpected. Shirota will come too, not as a student, but as her assistant, basically her personal storage. Shirota shouts in disbelief. He can't believe how casually she says such things. Takamine insists that he's free, as long as he listens to her. Shirota argues that it sounds more like slavery than freedom. She calmly explains that she gives him the freedom to talk and move, so it's fine. Suddenly, she switches to a video call. On screen, she appears wearing a strange outfit. Shirota freaks out. Takamine shyly admits she felt embarrassed buying it. Then she drops another surprise. During their last shopping trip, she secretly bought every outfit he looked at with interest. Now she begins showing them off one by one on camera. Shirota covers his face, completely red with embarrassment. She then assigns him another role, her bodyguard. If anyone dares to bother or act shady, he has to protect her. Just then her cat jumps on the phone, accidentally ending the video call. A few days later, Shirota waits outside the college campus. They're there for the campus tour. When Takamine finally arrives, every guy around turns to look. Shirota notices how no one can take their eyes off her. She looks stunning, dressed like a confident college student. She asks Shirota if she gives off the right vibe. She says this tour is part of figuring out how she wants to carry herself when she joins. Shirota finds her way of thinking hard to follow. Once again, Takamine insists he should enroll too. She says she needs her bodyguard by her side in college. Then she asks him about his future plans, just like she did on the call. Back then, he had said he didn't know yet. Back in the present, Takamine tells Shirota he doesn't need to flatter her or follow her around. She genuinely wants to know what he plans for his future. She promises not to laugh, no matter what he says. After thinking for a moment, Shirota opens up. He says he might try to find a job. Takamine asks why, and he explains that he wants to help pay for his sister's education. His family situation isn't the best, and he doesn't want her future to suffer because of money. Takamine is surprised by his answer. She didn't expect him to be that thoughtful. Then she quickly shifts the topic, saying he could take on a part-time job to support his sister. Later, they step into a lecture hall where a class is going on. Takamine feels curious and decides to sit in. The lecture turns out to be dull. When the teacher asks if anyone has questions, Takamine raises her hand. She asks about lab work and what benefits it brings after graduation. The teacher replies with a simple answer about certificates in progress, but it doesn't sound helpful. Takamine thanks him and sits down. Shirota praises her, but she doesn't look pleased. Then she rewinds time and asks the same question again. The teacher gives the same answer. Shirota doesn't understand why she used her ability for something so small. Takamine explains that she had said the wrong word earlier and wanted to correct it. Then she tells Shirota that now it's his turn to work. He panics, seeing they're in a full classroom, but she calmly lays out the plan. Since they're sitting in the back, he can crouch down and do it quietly. Shirota agrees and gets under the desk. He tells himself to stay calm and finish it quickly. After a bit of struggle, he manages to help Takamine put her pants back on. He feels embarrassed but gets the job done. Later that evening, they walk home. They talk casually about the visit. Takamine says it was nice and Shirota agrees. Then she brings up what he said earlier about getting a job. She points out that if he starts working, they won't get to spend much time together anymore. She says he should reduce the tasks he does for her. Shirota reminds her that she once said he'd still have to do her work even after getting a job. Takamine asks if he really thinks she's that cold. She admits she's actually a little angry on him but chooses to forgive him. Then she tells him that she is setting him free, but not to celebrate just yet. The year isn't over and he still has work to do for her. Finally, she says goodbye and walks away, telling him to head home too. After Takamine leaves, Shirota just stands there, unable to move. Her words about not seeing each other often stay stuck in his mind. The thought makes him feel uneasy and a little sad. The next day, he heads to school, but her words from the campus visit still linger in his thoughts. Suddenly, Takamine appears again, grabbing everyone's attention like always. Students around her can't stop staring. They talk for a bit, but Shirota notices something odd. Her skirt is slightly lifted. He panics, then things get worse. The other boys begin filming her with their phones. Shirota rushes to shield her, but in the middle of it, Takamine catches her reflection in a mirror. Realizing what's happening, her face turns bright red. She starts acting strangely, making silly excuses and trying to brush it off. She even throws a weird comment at Shirota, blaming him for always looking at her panties. Then she walks away, leaving Shirota totally confused. He starts noticing more strange things. She forgot to wear socks. Her metro card didn't work properly. She seems completely off today. They ride the metro together, talking about summer break. But Shirota's thoughts are elsewhere. He wonders why she hasn't used her ability yet. Maybe she's trying to hide a series of mistakes. Then he notices something even more shocking. She didn't wear an underlayer on her upper body. His panic grows. He thinks something must seriously be wrong. Takamine catches him staring and asks what he's looking at. In that moment, she realizes what she forgot and goes red again. She starts saying random excuses, trying to play it cool. But things get worse. The metro door opens and closes, catching her shirt. A button pops off. He quickly shields her juicy mangoes by grabbing them with his hands. The nearby passengers gasp, with no other option. Takamine finally uses her ability and rewinds time. Everything resets. Shirota finds himself back in his room. He starts reflecting on all the crazy moments with Takamine. He doubts whether he'll ever get into the same college as her. Even with the best luck, it still feels far away. He considers hiring a tutor but realizes that won't help much. So he decides it's time to study seriously by attending a cram school. On the way to the library, he accidentally bumps into someone. A girl stands before him, super cute, and to his surprise, she calls his name. Shirota doesn't even get a good look at her face yet, but he's completely stunned. The girl turns out to be Ellie Evergreen. She is an old friend of Shirota from elementary school. She greets him warmly and invites him to the nearby playground for a water balloon fight. The two begin playing and laughing like kids again. During the game, Ellie gets soaked, and it quickly becomes obvious that she isn't wearing a bra. Shirota tries not to look, but he's clearly flustered. Ellie finds it surprising that Shirota plans to go to college with a girl he's not even dating. She quickly guesses that the two must have feelings for each other. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Takamine shows up, and her expression says everything. She's furious. Ellie cheerfully invites Takamine to join the game, but things go downhill fast. Takamine sees the balloons, misinterprets the situation completely, and assumes something much worse is going on. In a complete misunderstanding, she thinks they've invited her into a threesome. Before Shirota can even explain, she slaps him across the face. Ellie recognizes Takamine and says they went to elementary school together. She then politely apologizes to Takamine for getting too close to her boyfriend. Takamine quickly denies the relationship, though her reaction says otherwise. Ellie leaves with a smile, saying she'll see Shirota at cram school. Takamine stays behind, clearly shaken but also touched. She realizes Shirota is seriously trying to get into the same college as her. Moved by this, she offers to help him study. But when Shirota refuses, doesn't let it go. She rewinds time and demands he accept her help. Then, in her usual way, she also insists he replace the underwear she just took off. No excuses allowed. The two begin their study session, but Takamine soon notices something troubling. Shirota struggles badly, unable to grasp even basic points. She starts to wonder if even cram school will be enough to get him into college. She is not sure, but she keeps going, because no matter how bad he is at studying, she still wants to be by his side. Shirota and Ellie step out of the classroom, both looking drained. Takamine walks by and notices them. Ellie lights up when she sees her and suggests they go to a restaurant together. At the restaurant, a friendly waitress greets them. Ellie recognizes her as an old classmate and starts chatting happily. She orders drinks and freeze, explaining that this waitress often gives extras. Shirota looks surprised, but Ellie keeps the conversation going with her usual energy. Then Takamine quietly says she doesn't eat freeze. Ellie is caught off guard by that. Soon, Ellie brings up how she and Shirota have been studying together lately and plan to finish school side by side. She even adds that they'll start doing homework at her place. Takamine looks annoyed. She reminds Shirota that he promised to study with her. Ellie laughs, joking about how Takamine is both smart and has a perfect figure, while admitting she struggles with her own studies. In response, Takamine blurts out something unexpected. She wants it a cat cosplay just to help Shirota stay focused. Shirota tries to stop her from revealing more. Ellie finds it funny and suggests they should all study together, even offering the idea of a sleepover. Shirota turns red instantly. Takamine quickly shuts down the idea and mutters something under her breath that no one hears clearly. Shirota tries to explain there's no misunderstanding, but Takamine smacks him and says maybe it's time Ellie knew the whole truth. Shirota tries to stop her again, but Takamine insists she understands the situation better than anyone. Ellie listens but seems unsure what's going on. When the outing ends, Takamine and Ellie send Shirota ahead. They stay behind to talk privately. Ellie lowers her voice and apologizes, saying she feels Takamine might be insecure lately. She gently mentions that Takamine might be visiting cram school just to keep an eye on them. Ellie says she didn't mean to cause any jealousy and asks for forgiveness. She explains that nothing romantic is going on between her and Shirota, they're simply close friends. Takamine is caught off guard by her honesty. Just then, another girl walks over and thanks Ellie for waiting. Ellie thanks Takamine and leaves with the girl, their hands gently linked. Takamine blushes as she watches them walk away. A moment later, she sees Shirota nearby. He asks what they were talking about. Takamine says it was nothing serious. When he presses, she admits she had been overly suspicious of Ellie. Shirota doesn't fully understand what she means, but lets it go. Ellie and the girl walk together. The girl comments that Takamine seemed like Ellie's type. Ellie smiles and says they're just friends. Takamine holds a balloon and asks if Shirota remembers it. She wants to play a game where the winner gets to make a request the loser must follow. Shirota doesn't think it's fair, but she questions why he seemed fine having fun with Ellie yet hesitates with her. He says he was just messing around earlier. They begin the water balloon fight. Shirota tries to miss, but Takamine moves into one and ends up soaked. She counts it as his first hit. Shirota says it didn't count since she walked into it, but she ignores him. Still bothered about Ellie, Takamine suddenly asks what he had been thinking earlier. Before he can explain, she throws 4 more balloons and wins the match. Then, as her reward, she commands Shirota to lick her upper thigh. Shirota, feeling overwhelmed, recalls Ellie's earlier comments about them and grows visibly flustered. Struggling to stay calm, he panics, wondering how he is supposed to go through with something like that in a public park. He begs her to ease up. Takamine sides and agrees. She tells him she is going home. There, she will wash her legs, and he could do it there instead. She points out if a girl licking a boy's neck is considered nice, why would licking a girl's leg be seen as something strange? Shirota tries to justify himself, mumbling that necks weren't exactly a weird spot. He eventually makes her agree to let him lick her belly instead. Shirota's heart pounds uncontrollably. She continues teasing. He realizes that once Takamine makes up her mind about something, she never backs down. The two of them then walk into a wooded area and stop by the trees. There, Shirota leans forward preparing to lick her belly. He couldn't help but notice her scent. The moment feels surreal and deeply embarrassing, but he goes through with it. Takamine praises Shirota, saying he did well. She brings up the idea of going out together as a small reward, since he had helped her so much that day. She keeps speaking but then turns and sees Shirota has fainted. Just hearing her suggest a date is enough to knock him out cold. Summer break ends, and after cram school, Shirota receives a message from Takamine. It includes a location, and he heads there. When they meet, she says she has made plans, and they should begin. Shirota thinks about the whole summer and all those times when Takamine supported him. He feels grateful and wants to do something nice for her in return. More than anything, he just wants to make her happy. They start walking, and Takamine asks what they should do first. Shirota, feeling the hot weather, suggests getting a cold drink. Takamine shows him a coupon that will give them a discount. But when she looks up, he's already walking away. He soon comes back, holding 2 iced coffees already paid for. He says it was his treat since she invited him out. Takamine looks annoyed and without waiting ruins time. This time, she stops him and gives him a short scolding. She hands him the coupon, reminding him that something else needs to come first. It's clear what she means. After that is settled, they talk about what to do next. Shirota suggests checking out a nearby store. Takamine agrees without any complaints. They walk around inside, looking at kitchen items and other small things. Takamine spots a bunny plushie and stares at it for a moment. Shirota notices but doesn't mention anything. He says he's going to the restroom and quietly walks off. He comes back later and casually brings up the bunny plushie. Takamine says it's cute, but not really her taste, so she wouldn't buy it. Shirota apologizes and admits he has already bought it, thinking it would be a nice surprise. Takamine frowns again and uses her ability once more. She tells him clearly not to give her gifts like that. After he rectifies that, Takamine again brings up the question of what they should do next. This time, Shirota suggests booting. They end up on a small lake, rowing together in a quiet boat. Takamine compliments his effort, and Shirota admits that it's his first time doing anything like this. He also says he has never shared a boat ride with a girl before. Hearing that, Takamine blushes and says it's a first for her too. Thinking he might get tired, she offers to take over, but Shirota insists he can manage. She tries again, but he refuses once more. Then suddenly, without warning, Takamine jumps into the lake. Shirota is left shocked. She rises out of the water and says that during times like this, she wants to enjoy things without relying on her power. Still, she ends up using her ability away in Anywhere Ruins time to when they were preparing for the boating trip. Shirota, now confused, calls her by her title and asks what she is doing. Takamine tells him not to pretend he doesn't understand. She informs him that their next stop will be the final one of the day. By now, she has already put her panties back. She mentions that she can't always wait around for him. Then she walks ahead, leaving Shirota looking upset. He had put effort into making the day meaningful for her, but now he feels like he failed. He apologizes quietly, unsure of what he did wrong. Takamine turns to him gently and says there's no need to say sorry. She admits she might have pushed him too much and made things harder for him. Then she reveals something honest. The real reason she planned the entire outing was to show him how much she cares. That surprises Shirota. She goes on to explain that she wanted to reward him for all his effort over the summer. At that moment, Shirota realizes that everything had been planned by her for his sake. She says she did it because she wanted to make him happy. She adds with a little joke that if he doesn't accept her gift, it would hurt her feelings. Shirota, now Shay, thanks her and says that the day meant a lot to him. Not just because it was fun, but also because he felt her support during his studies. He confesses that the night before, he searched online for ways to plan the perfect outing. He just wanted to make her smile. But seeing everything she did instead touches him deeply. Takamine smiles, then lightly teases him for being too emotional. Shirota gets confused and asks what he said that was wrong. She says she wants to know what his next steps in life are because she wants to be part of them and help him. Then both of them walk away together, side by side. Shirota is at Takamine's place to study. She invited him over to help him learn something, but her mood was cold from the start. The real reason is Ellie, who joins them and acts too relaxed. She looks around, compliments the room, and casually thanks Shirota for sharing his notes. Half an hour earlier, on the way to Takamine's place, Shirota runs into Ellie. After learning where he is going, she decides to come along, even though no one asked her to. Now, all three are sitting together. Takamine, clearly irritated, tells Ellie maybe she should go study with her girlfriend instead. Ellie answers with a straight face, mentioning her being busy these days. Shirota feels stuck in the middle. The way Ellie talks makes him wonder if she really has a girlfriend, or if she is just joking. Then Ellie suddenly brushes against the juicy melons of Takamine. Without saying much more, Takamine tells Shirota to go get something to eat. He stands up and heads out, but something about leaving those two alone makes him nervous. Once Shirota steps out, Takamine quickly speaks up. She tells Ellie that she cannot focus with both of them around. Ellie accepts she may have overstepped, but then suddenly asks Takamine about her relationship with Shirota. The mention leaves Takamine nervous and unsure how to respond. Ellie calmly points out that no matter how much Takamine tries, Shirota will never truly notice her feelings. He will not see her as anything more than a friend. The words hit hard. Takamine recalls a friend who dressed up in a cat costume and ended up falling onto a guy with nothing on. Ellie realizes Takamine is talking about herself. With her emotions rising, Takamine finally admits how much effort her friend made just to enter the same university as Shirota. Overcome with emotions, Ellie says that someone who struggles with studying is trying so hard for her. That kind of effort cannot come from friendship alone. It must be love. Takamine quickly adds that she never said Shirota was bad at studying, trying to hide her feelings again. Ellie pretends she was only talking about her friend, not Takamine. Then, without warning, she touches Takamine inappropriately. Right at that moment, Shirota returns with snacks, unaware of what just happened. He pauses outside the door, unsure if the girls are bonding or arguing. His thoughts spiral when he hears Ellie say something about softness, followed by a flustered voice asking her to stop. The sounds paint a strange picture in his mind. What really happens inside is simple. Ellie is playing with a cat, calling it soft and stroking it gently. After that day, something changes. Ellie and Takamine start to get along better. Their awkward tension fades, and they grow closer as friends. When the new semester begins, Takamine walks to school with Shirota. She compliments his new blazer and talks about how the new school uniform feels better than the old one, especially when it rains. That comment reminds Shirota of the last time she wore her old blazer. He quietly wonders if she had worn anything underneath that day. Takamine catches his strange look. She teases him, guessing that his mind has gone somewhere it should not. Shirota panics and tries to deny it, but she simply smiles. To stir things up, she introduces a little game. She tells him to turn around and then uses her ability. Now the challenge begins. Shirota must guess which item of clothing she removed. If he guesses correctly, she promises to study with him in a swimsuit. If he gets it wrong, she says he must do anything she asks. He protests, calling it gambling, but she tells him to calm down and trust his instincts. She even adds that if he loses, he will be blindfolded, with headphones on and hands tied. He will not even see the swimsuit. Shirota is shocked, but she laughs it off and urges him to keep walking. He cannot stop thinking about her words. When she leaps over a puddle, he glances nervously at the water's reflection and catches a glimpse of something. At school, Takamine reminds him it is time to answer. He writes down his guess. He thinks she removed her top. Takamine shakes her head. He is wrong. She says it was the bottom. That means he never peeked under her skirt. If he had, he would have won. Then she tells him to get ready for his punishment. Shirota feels defeated. Takamine lightly scolds him. She mentions the little clue she gave, jumping over the puddle, just for him. That moment makes Shirota blush. He starts to think she might have honestly wanted him to win. Later, during a metro ride, Takamine changes the topic. She brings up the upcoming cultural festival and asks if he plans to join the performance. Shirota replies that he will help backstage, just like the year before. She reminds him how he held the haunted house sign when no one else stepped up. He looks surprised that she remembers. She responds with a calm voice, saying it is her responsibility as the student council president. Takamine shares that she will be playing Cinderella this year. She hopes Shirota can help backstage since he already knows how everything works. In class, the students talk excitedly about the play. When Takamine asks who should play the main role, one student confidently suggests her. Everyone else agrees with smiles. Takamine accepts the role with modesty, then asks for 2 volunteers to handle the sound. Shirota raises his hand, thinking the task will be simple. However, Takamine doesn't seem to like it, and her eyes turn serious. She suddenly ruins time and brings the class back to the moment she first asked who should play Cinderella. The students repeat their earlier response, all insisting that Takamine fits the role best. This time, she calls Shirota to the board and makes him write her name for the role. He does it quietly. Then she asks who should play the prince. She looks directly at Shirota and speaks in a way that feels teasing and bold. The class picks up on her change in mood. Everyone watches closely. Shirota feels the pressure growing. Before he can say anything, a few boys raise their hands to volunteer. Among them is Sia Oji, a well-known student with charm and ambition. He plans to run for student council president, and the rest of the boys step back, knowing they cannot match him. Takamine shows discomfort. She does not like how things are turning out. Her thoughts slip out. If this continues, Sia might actually take the role. She hints at using her ability again, clearly troubled by the idea of someone else taking the spotlight. Shardo sees this and quickly speaks up. He says the spotlight should stay where it belongs and then raises his hand. He tells the class he wants to play the prince too. Watching interest from both sides, Takamine suggests a vote to settle things fairly. Whoever wins will take the prince's role. The voting ends with Sia Oji receiving 30 votes. Shirota loses by just 1. After school, Shirota feels disappointed. He apologizes to Takamine. She brushes it off, saying she was only joking. Then she adds that the prince still needs a soldier, and that role fits him. Shirota wonders if any of this is really important, thinking that No would be interested in seeing both of them on stage together. Takamine calmly answers that there is definitely someone who would enjoy watching them. Evening arrives before the Cinderella event. Students are working hard on their parts. Takamine encourages everyone, telling them that they can all succeed if they support one another. A girl arrives, saying more help is needed. Just then, something suddenly drops on the head of Shirota, leaving him slightly hurt. Takamine appears from behind and asks him to help with a background painting. Shirota agrees. A few students nearby seem unhappy, and Shirota catches their expressions. Takamine notices and gently asks him about it. He quietly replies that nothing is wrong. They start working. Another girl walks up and points out a mistake in the painting. The comments quickly spread, and others begin to speak poorly of Shirota. Takamine decides to act. She uses her ability to rewind time. Shirota realizes right away what she has done. She calls out to him to focus on his work, giving him a fresh chance. He gets back to painting, grateful for her silent support. Soon, Takamine becomes busy with another student who comes over to speak with her. In the meantime, Shirota struggles and feels struck with his task. Even though she is talking to someone else, Takamine keeps her eyes on him. She senses where things will go wrong. At the perfect moment, she steps in and fixes the part Shirota cannot complete. Shirota feels confused about how things were fixed so smoothly. Later, Takamine explains everything to him. From that moment on, both of them work side by side. They support each other and continue their preparations. When her costume is ready, Takamine looks stunning in it. Shirota sees her and cannot hide how happy he feels. The students keep working into the evening, putting final touches on the festival preparations. When night falls, Takamine gathers everyone and thanks them for their hard work. Shirota finds a message from Takamine. She has asked him to come to a specific place. It turns out to be the school rooftop. He climbs up and sees her already standing there, waiting quietly. He tries to figure out why she wanted to meet in such a private spot. First, they talk about ordinary school things. Slowly, the mood shifts. Something in the air starts to feel different. Shirota begins to speak with more care. He mentions the idea of another big festival in the future. That event might be even larger and might even include an overnight stay. He says he hopes they can watch the stars together again, and he promises to help her, just like he always does. Takamine listens quietly and then asks him what he wants to do with her that night. This catches Shirota off guard. His face turns red, and he stumbles over his words, denying that he meant anything romantic. But his reaction says otherwise. Takamine takes a moment, then shares a thought that has stayed with her for a long time. She admits she never liked the Cinderella story. To her, magical solutions never lead to anything real. She believes that people must work for what they want. Still, she says she has learned something new, to hold back just a little before tearing someone down. Blushing softly, Takamine walks closer to Shirota and gently holds his hands. She admits she cannot bring herself to act coldly anymore. Her face is just inches from his, and Shirota's heart beats fast. Before she can say more, she suddenly sneezes. Shirota quickly reacts. He removes his shirt and hands it to her, concerned that she might be catching a cold. He cares because he knows she has a big part to play. Takamine holds the shirt close, her cheeks burning with warmth. Morning arrives, and it is finally the day of the festival. Takamine moves from student to student, lifting their spirits and helping them stay focused. Around her, everyone seems to be talking about Saoji, the one playing the prince. Shirota feels nervous, not about the play, but something deeper. Takamine notices the unease in his face and pulls him aside. They walk together, and she softly tells him to calm down and ask what is bothering him. Shirota cannot focus on her words. He keeps hearing all the voices and chatter around them. Looking for a quiet escape, he tries to think of a place with no eyes watching. The two of them slip away and end up inside the haunted house. Inside the haunted house, Shirota finally feels a bit more relaxed. No one is around to watch them, and the dark setting gives him a sense of privacy. But Takamine does not share the same feeling. She looks uneasy and clearly uncomfortable. Her fear shows even though she tries to hide it. Shirota offers to leave if she is afraid, but Takamine quickly denies it. She says she is fine. Suddenly, a boy jumps out of the shadows. Takamine panics and uses her ability without thinking. That confirms to Shirota how scared she really is. Takamine still insists she is not afraid and claims she only wants to help calm his nerves. They continue walking. Then, out of nowhere, something cold touches Shirota's shoulder. It might be a prop or someone dressed like a ghost. Takamine reacts instantly and uses her ability again. She turns to Shirota with gentle concern and checks if he is hurt. Shirota says he is all right. Once again, Takamine denies being scared, but Shirota knows the truth. He senses that they should leave the haunted house, but a small part of him enjoys watching her act frightened. Takamine notices his expression and asks why he is smiling so much. Before he can answer, something grabs her leg. Takamine screams and jumps into his arms. The whole situation now feels more amusing to him. But then another spider drops down from above, landing right on them. Takamine panics and runs off screaming. Shirota rushes after her, trying to catch up. He calls out to her, making sure she is safe, but then stops in shock. In front of him, Takamine hangs tangled in fake webs, swinging helplessly like she is caught. Shirota rushes to help her, but then hears voices nearby. A few girls are heading toward them. He panics. If anyone sees Takamine like this, her image might be ruined. Shirota acts quickly. He tries to fix the scene before it gets worse. The two girls appear, look around, and then leave silently. They do not seem to understand what they saw and say nothing. After things calm down, Shirota apologizes. Takamine just smiles and tells him not to worry. To her, it was nothing more than a silly walk. Whatever nervousness Shirota felt before is now completely gone. They return to the school office and find a problem waiting. Saoji, the one chosen to play the prince, is missing. Everyone is worried. Time is running out. Moments later, the door opens and Saya finally arrives, but he is in terrible shape. He has been in an accident and cannot perform. Shirota turns to Takamine and suggests she use her ability to help him. But Takamine stays quiet. The students calmly guide Saya out of the room, knowing he cannot go on. Now the biggest concern is who will take the role of the prince. After thinking through everything, Takamine makes her decision. She looks at Shirota and chooses him to play the prince. Shirota and Takamine step onto the stage, dressed as the prince and Cinderella. The play is about to begin. Ellie sits in the audience, waiting to watch the performance. The lights shine down, and Takamine begins the story, starting with her role as Cinderella. She performs, calm and confident. Shirota quietly holds his script, dressed in royal clothes, trying to stay calm. He keeps wondering why Takamine suddenly picked him to play the prince. He tells himself the part is short and manageable. With that, he begins to read his lines. Cinderella brings tea to her stepmother, but instead of kindness, she receives cruelty. The stepmother throws the tea back in her face, soaking her dress. The audience gasps. A strange feeling spreads in the crowd, something between surprise and excitement. Cinderella kneels down and begins cleaning the floor. A narrator explains how his stepmother treats her poorly. Takamine looks adorable in the role, and many boys in the audience stare at her with admiration. Ellie, watching from her seat, clearly grows upset with how the stepmother acts. Backstage, the other students are impressed with Takamine's performance. Meanwhile, Shirota focuses on remembering his lines. The play continues, and Cinderella's stepsisters leave her behind to attend the ball. Left with no dress, Cinderella becomes sad. She sings a gentle song about her pain, and the sound touches everyone. Suddenly, the godmother appears and promises to grant Cinderella's wish. Now, the setting moves to the Grand Castle. It is Shiruto's turn. He starts to panic, worrying that he cannot do it. Takamine sees his stress and laughs softly, reminding him that they are here to enjoy themselves. Then she returns to the stage. The prince's part is announced and Shirota is called forward. His classmate nudges him, letting him know it is time. Shirota finally steps onto the stage, determined to do well and be there for Takamine. But the moment he faces the crowd, his mind goes blank. Ellie watches in disbelief, just as surprised as everyone else to see Shirota playing the prince. The pressure builds. So many eyes are locked on him and fear takes over. Shirota cannot move. He forgets every word. The cast behind him waits, puzzled. From backstage, people whisper reminders, hoping he will remember his lines. But Shirota stands frozen, feeling like a failure, believing he has let Takamine down. Suddenly, Takamine pulls him off the stage. She uses her ability. Time resets. They return to the moment right before stepping onto the stage. Shirota is shocked. She used her power just for him. Takamine pulls him to the side. She speaks sharply, asking what he was trying to do. Shirota feels ashamed and apologizes. Takamine then tells him to stop looking at the audience. She says that paying attention to them only makes it worse. Takamine firmly tells Shirota to focus only on her. He does not completely understand what she means, but he gets the feeling behind her words. Moments later, the others call for the student council president to return to the stage. Before going, Takamine repeats her advice. She tells Shirota to stop being scared and to stop worrying about everyone else. The only thing he should look at is her. She walks back onto the stage, and finally, it is Shirota's turn again. This time, he steps forward with determination. He promises himself that he will not mess up. Standing tall, he reaches the center of the stage and invites Takamine to dance. He is doing much better now. Takamine smiles, pleased by how naturally he delivers his line. She agrees to the dance. Shirota feels a bit more confident. He knows he still has more to do, so he tries to stay focused. The next part of the play requires him to stay hidden under Takamine's large skirt during a song. He follows instructions and positions himself as planned. Takamine begins to sing beautifully, and Shirota has to move in rhythm with her movements, staying hidden inside the skirt as the dance continues. At last, the big moment arrives. Shirota places the slipper on Cinderella's foot. Then comes the dance. Even though he is exhausted and overwhelmed, he pulls himself together and dances with Takamine. When the time comes, Takamine runs away in her special costume, just like the story. She tells him not to chase her. Shirota follows the story and brings her lost slipper. If it fits, everyone will know she is the princess. The stepmother refuses to let Cinderella try on the slipper, but he firmly insists. Everything seems to be going perfectly, almost too perfectly. Suddenly, the silence breaks. Shea Oji storms in, shouting that the prince is a fake. He calls Shirota a fraud and accuses him of stealing the role. The audience gasps. Ellie, sitting in the crowd, yells at Sia, furious that he would say such things. Shirota stands frozen, confused by the chaos. Behind Sia, someone tries to calm him down, urging him not to ruin the performance. But Sia keeps going. Takamine quickly reacts. She continues playing Cinderella and questions what is happening. She asks why there are suddenly two princes on stage. Sia replies in a strange tone. He claims he worked hard for the role, even going as far as polishing his nails to make the slipper scene perfect. He admits that he wanted to touch her feet. Shirota is stunned. He realizes Sia did not care about the play. He just wanted to touch the feet of Takamine. Shirota feels a strong wave of anger. In his mind, Sia seems selfish, rude, and completely out of line. Takamine tries to take back control of the play after the interruption. Shirota steps forward and speaks with confidence. He admits that Seiya might be the real prince, and he himself may only be the commander. But he makes it clear that someone selfish cannot bring happiness to Cinderella. And no matter who he is, he himself is the one who will make her happy. Takamine is caught off guard by his bold words. The crowd responds immediately, cheering loudly. The energy shifts and everyone begins to praise Shirota. They say he has saved the entire performance and taken charge at the perfect time. From backstage, someone calls out, asking who Cinderella will choose, her prince or the commander. In a surprising moment, Takamine moves closer and kisses Shirota on stage. The audience gasps. Ellie and the others are left speechless. Then, Takamine takes Shirota's hand and leads him off stage. She whispers to him that she belongs to him now. Ellie watches from her seat, quietly happy about how it turned out. The play ends and the students are thrilled by the unexpected yet beautiful conclusion. Later, outside the classroom, students gather to talk about the performance. Everyone seems satisfied. A few girls shyly ask Takamine if the kiss was real. She quickly explains that it was only a stage kiss meant to keep the story on track. Still, her face turns red with embarrassment. Behind her, Shirota is also blushing, trying to hide his reaction. Takamine then turns to him with a playful look and asks if she is really telling the truth. Night falls, and the school grounds are filled with laughter and joy. Back in the classroom, Takamine and Shirota talk quietly. They agree it has been a good day. Takamine compliments his performance, saying it was good enough to pass. But Shirota cannot stop thinking about the kiss. To him, it felt real. He even wonders if it was a reward for everything he had done. He glances at her, lost in thought. Takamine notices and asks if something is wrong. He says nothing, then slowly brings up the kiss. He wants to know why she did it. Takamine avoids a clear answer. She tells him to figure it out on his own. Shirota starts to believe there might not be any deeper meaning behind it. He convinces himself that maybe there was no romantic reason at all. But Takamine leans in with a teasing smile. She says she will keep kissing him until he understands. Shirota turns red. Seeing his reaction, Takamine laughs and says she is only joking. What she really wants is to hear his honest thoughts. Shirota speaks slowly. He suggests that maybe the kiss was just a reward. He also guesses that she wants him to stay by her side in university, like her personal assistant or someone close. Takamine listens but doesn't look satisfied. Without saying much, she uses her ability again. Time rewinds once more, bringing them back to the beginning of their talk. She tells him to think more carefully this time. She tells him there is no time left to waste. The event is coming to an end, and as student council president, she needs to be there. She tells him to get down to his work. Before leaving, she gives Shirota one last instruction. He must continue being her closet until he finally figures out the correct answer. Shirota quietly accepts the role again and puts on her panties. He thinks that all he really wants is to stay by her side, just like always. Takamine looks at him and tells him it's time to go. And that is it for today. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to subscribe. Hit like and drop your thoughts in the comments. Until next time.